What's up, gamers and Pokemon fans? It's time for the second part of our GameLocke Challenge Anime Edition. Our first part was quite successful with the Bleach edition of Pokemon Green. Now we're going to do the Naruto edition for Pokemon Red. There was some technical difficulties, unfortunately, just going to tell you guys that right out of the gate, where the audio was very scratchy and basically not usable, completely just not usable for the majority of the gameplay. Very unfortunate by the time I found this out. So while I'll be adding in a little bit of music and stuff like that, the sound effects are going to be basically null and void at this point. I will make sure to fix this in any subsequent video and double down and make sure that all the audio doesn't have this weird frequency, high-pitched noise and scratchiness and everything else to it. But unfortunately, the red file was already, it is what it is. There's nothing I can really do about it, so I'll try to make it as nice as possible for this edit. Now that being said, once again, this is Pokemon GameLocke. As you guys look no further than over here. In the first part, in Pokemon Green Bleach Edition, we explained all the GameLocke rules over here. Now those GameLocke rules, along with the Nuzlocke rules, are down in the description down below as they were in the Green Edition. So we won't exactly be going over them. What we will be going over, once again, as I said, if you are a little confused about the disqualified numbers down here, or the GameLocke rules, or the Nuzlocke rules, feel free to leave a comment, but the full explanation of it, at the very least the GameLocke rules, is over in the first part of this series. Now, the one thing we will be showcasing is, of course, what did we spend our points on? We have a reward system, and look no further than right over here, we have our Pokemon getting 2 points this time. One for completing Pokemon Green, the second for an Elite Four sweep. Now, what is an Elite Four sweep? It is when you go in with a full 6 Pokemon. I never reiterate that in the rules and stuff like that, but I'm going to reiterate it right here, right now, is that even though I don't list that, you need to go in with a full team of 6 and sweep the Elite Four with 6 alive by the time you defeat the champion. By the time they get to the Hall of Fame, there was 0 deaths. You do that, you get 1 more bonus point to spend in the reward system. Now, we boxed 1 point. We banked a point, which you are fully allowed to do no matter the gen, no matter the game. But we did spend 1 point. And at first I thought this might be a little unfair, and people might not like this, especially for the first point spent. But we're taking our Shunsui, our Eevee, permanently making them Thunderstoned Jolteon. Now, I'm going to double down on this, that Eevee is a big exception to doing this for almost any other Pokemon. We will not be accepting this capability for any Pokemon that needs to evolve a second time. So, for example, if you have like we have, a Geodude, you can't just automatically say, okay, I want to start off with a Golem, just because of the trade evolution. You can't do this for Pokemon like Gloom, who require a Leaf Stone, because you would start off with an Oddish, right? Certain things like this would not be allowed, because Eevee is a first stage that can become, due to stones, evolves right away. The exception to these, I would argue, would be things like Onix and Scizor. We would allow this, alright? You would be allowed to, okay, if you ended off the Hall of Fame with a Scizor, not a Scyther, but a Scizor, or an Onix, Steelix, etc., then we would allow you to spend a point to start off with a Scizor rather than a Scyther. If you so chose, you spend the point. The trick is, alongside of Eevee here, and this is the same deal, is that you are permanently locked into this. And by that I mean you can't just flip-flop back to Scyther when it suits you. You will forever be stuck if you choose to spend this point. I am now forever stuck with Jolteon. I can't go back to an Eevee in Pokemon Blue. I can't choose to evolve it into something else, like an Umbreon or a Vaporeon or something like that later on. And as in Eevee's case, I would not allow myself to, in this regard, because I ended off with Jolteon in the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't be allowed to start off with Flareon. Just like that. So we spent the point to take an Evolution Stone Pokemon, pre-evolve it to start us off, but now that is a permanent fix. We will always start off with Jolteon and never have the capability of bringing them back to Eevee or choosing another evolution. So that's what the point was spent on. Once again, depending on the Pokemon and the situation, you can make up your own rules to what you think is fair. Obviously, anything that involves levels, not going to happen. Anything that involves, once again, a 3-stage, not going to happen. But certain things, as I said, another example of the Eevee exception would be things like, as I said, Scyther, Onix, anything that requires a trade with a certain item, things like that, right? Those are the two best examples I can think of right off the top of my head. But yeah, so that's what we tongue-tied there. That is what we spent our point on, and we banked another point. So now, without further ado, that's enough of my rambling. And obviously, these will get faster and quicker as we get familiar with how this reward system works and such, and as the GameLocke really gets right underway. So, without further ado, let's just jump right in to Pokemon Red. Alright, so let's get underway. As I already stated to you guys, I'm just going to try to add in the best amount of cropped music and stuff like that as I can. Obviously, some of the sound effects aren't going to be in there. This one's going to take me a while to edit. And unlike the GenLocke, I just want to state this. Will only be doing one leg at a time, unlike the first time where I did, multiple amounts of gameplay. Obviously, we're going to switch our text speed. Battle animation is on. Battle style set to from shift to set. And then we get to start off on our adventure here. So, as I was saying, I'm only doing one leg at a time until the time of recording for this. So when we completed green, I did green and then I played red. I don't, until I do the recording for each one, unlike the GenLocke, I'm just going to go through each one. That way, I don't get overwhelmed with how much gameplay. I don't fill up, of course, my PC with gigabytes worth of raw footage, and then I have to go back and edit through so much stuff. I forget certain things that I want to showcase, etc., etc. So, yeah, this time we're doing this a little bit different than the GenLocke, and I'm just pacing myself doing it once, one leg at a time, from gameplay to editing to publishing, right? So obviously here we're naming our rival Red and stuff like that. Now once again, this is the Naruto edition. I believe I said at the beginning of the video, but if I didn't, we're doing this on a wheel, just like we did with the Bleach one, just like we're going to be doing with all of them. We're just spinning a wheel that has all the characters on it and going from there. And speaking of which, this particular time, as I said, the duplicate clause does not apply, meaning that our gamer tag still was between 7 and 9 at the end of the digit. The last digit was between 7 and 9, so we also ended up with a second Squirtle, which could be good and or bad. Now this Squirtle's name is, checking my notes, Kisame. Kisame is the name of that Squirtle. So that was a pretty good one. The shark guy, the one of the 7 swordsmen dudes, or one of the guys who has one of the ultimate swords or whatever. Itachi's companion there. Pretty cool character and stuff like that. Definitely fits a water type, though not exactly a shark, but still water. I guess that one works. As I said, I just picked mostly my favorite characters and the popular characters in Naruto. I believe there was about 34 characters on the wheel. So, we'll see how many we get. But obviously, this is a double-edged sword. Assuming that Kenpachi, who obviously we love Kenpachi, our Squirtle, stays with us, it's great to have a second Squirtle. Sounds good in theory. But unless we keep him on the team into the Elite Four and go in there with 2 Blastoise, it's likely that Squirtle will therefore, after this, be disqualified for the rest of the run if we don't lose Kenpachi and we have a boxed Squirtle. Therein lies the rub. Therein lies the danger of the dupe's clause being omitted. So, we finish off our rival pretty quickly right here with Kenpachi up against him with a Bulbasaur. So it's going to be the same rival team as green version. It's going to be the same as last time. He's going to have a Venusaur. Alright. So, alright, now we're straight into our next rival battle. Obviously, even though the timestamp for this is longer for whatever reason, I expected these to go quicker due to the fact that I don't need to showcase as much Well, I suppose it's still the same amount because I show the same amount of battles, same amount of catching. Since I'm not showing the grind or anything like that, I suppose it would be the same amount of time. So I don't know why I expected them to get shorter as I went. I don't know why. Anyways, we're starting off with Chad. Chad, our guy. Chad, he can't be beat by a Pidgey. We're level 9, man. And even though we only have Tackle, he's only doing 2 damage at a time. We just have to keep hopefully tackling. But, of course, that one sand attack that we took is really, oh my god, is really screwing us up here. This is insane. No, we don't like this at all. Are we actually going to have to switch because we're missing so many tackles? My god. Come on, Chad. You're a Chad. You can do this. One more. Just one more. And then he goes for the same. Oh, we are screwed now. We are screwed. Finally. Oh, but like, seriously, we were not going to stay in on the Bulbasaur anyways, but my god. What are we doing here? Seriously. Like, what are we doing? Why are all these out? Yeah. There we go. Fix that. No, I didn't. So now we're into the Bulbasaur, and we stay in. Oh, right, because Bulbasaur only has Leech Seed, so we just figured, okay, yeah, we can stay in, try to do some tackles. But, I mean, oh, I know why, because we're not eligible, as I was just talking about, we're not eligible to use Aerodactyl, as you guys saw, our Ichibei. We're not allowed to use our Kurosaki. We can't use our Shunsui. We're only eligible to use Genryusai, Kenpachi, and Chad. You know, because we're trying to, because that would just be completely unfair. A, they probably wouldn't list us anyways, and B, yeah, because for some reason, as I said, on red version, when I added them in, you cannot encounter since you can't encounter an Eevee below level whenever you receive them, level 25. There's no way to have a level 5 Jolteon. So, we weren't able to do that. We had to put them in the bare minimum level. Same with an Aerodactyl, same with the Hitmonlee. Where breeding was not a thing yet, it's not possible. So, the game, I tried multiple times, multiple different, you know, editing different things. But at the end of the day, I said, you know what? We'll just get through the first. We got a strong team in, like, we have Chad, Genryusai, and Kenpachi. If we can't win the first 2 gyms, get ourselves into the 20s, like, with that team alone, what are we doing, right? So obviously we weren't eligible to catch or didn't find anything in the first few routes that we're allowed to catch. Obviously, you know, our first encounters were probably things like Rattata, which is ineligible to catch. You know, could have been Kakuna, could have been Metapods, anything like that. But now we're up against here Brock. And with Bubble alone, we're going to be able to take him out. We're level 12. As I said, going through this with a Squirtle won't be that difficult. And he does get a Screech Up. The Onix is actually faster than our Kenpachi. But I don't know what our IVs are. Once again, that is all randomized unless we award a point. Then I specifically go in and change the IVs. The IVs are always randomized. And sometimes the IVs could be as low as a 0, right? They're randomized every time just because they're champions. Unless they spend the points on the IVs, they could be anything. They could be a 1 in attack. They could be a 2 in speed. No idea. But we do end up beating Brock, so boom. Was our first one. And Kenpachi evolves into Wartortle right away because we love that. We love that. So we are speeding through this pretty quick. We're already done the 2 rival battles, got our Wartortle, got our, and beat Brock, and now we catch ourselves a Pidgey. Once again, Pidgeotto is no longer eligible, but we get ourselves a Pidgey named Hinata. Hinata is named, and oh, for some reason we thought we could go up against a Bellsprout. For whatever reason, we thought we could go up against a Bellsprout with Geodude. with Chad. And Chad died. And I was even looking away, looking at my sheet for going, like, what did we name the Pidgey that can't become a Pidgeotto? Which is Hinata. But we just lost Chad. We just bloody lost Chad. Wow. Okay. We got cocky, and for some reason I thought I could take on a vine-whipping goddamn Bellsprout. I don't know why I thought that. I have no clue. I don't know where my mind was at. Could have been a simple misclick. I'm unsure, but now... Wow, okay. Yeah, so we are officially down a guy, and again, Ryusai is having a bit of a struggle there. Now, we can officially pull out Shunsui at this point because, of course, our rival has level 18s to 20s. Close enough. I'm good with it, you know. Shunsui's not all that strong exactly, starting off at base level 25 with no EVs. As I said, you know, we're just trying to get it close. So yeah, by this point, Shunsui is eligible to be used. As far as I'm concerned, anyways. Once again, like you could use that. That wasn't even in the rules. That's just because the nature of bringing the Pokemon into the game caused issues. Yeah, as you see, 2 level 30s there that I really will not be using. So now we have to switch out to Kenpachi here to try our best. And it's not like we use Shunsui there, as you guys can tell. We try to bare minimum the amount. It's just for the sake of keeping it a challenge. So we just use Shunsui for more of a quick switch, do a little bit of damage, and then move back on to the Pokemon that are eligible. We tried to do it again, Ryusai, but obviously Vulpix can be quite weak going forward. Now, of course, the Rattata of our rival, who uses a Hyper Fang. As I said, I feel okay with doing it. He had a Pidgeotto at level 18. We're level 19. You know, we're a few levels higher. It's not that big a deal. And then the Bulbasaur comes out. That is level 17. Yeah, they're in the high teens. Using Shunsui for 2 minutes didn't make a difference. Now, what I would say would make a difference is if we were to switch in Shunsui like we're about to do right here, heal up, and use all the abilities, use them as a buffer, as a wall, just to like heal up all the time, instead of using them as an attacker like what we're just doing. That critical hit definitely mattered, especially the missed Leech Seed. So that definitely mattered, but it got rid of the Bulbasaur and stuff like that. Like if you're going to use it as a meat shield, as a wall, just to, you know, use a bunch of healing items and stuff like that, then I would probably have a problem with throwing out Hitmonlee to do that and stuff like that, right? But yeah, we defeat our rival. As limited now as we are, unfortunately, because we only caught ourselves a Pidgey and another Squirtle at this point, which I'm surprised I didn't bring out the second Squirtle at this point. And maybe I will. And oh, but wait a minute, we're about to catch ourselves an Abra, who we name Itachi. Okay, that's a good one. That's a cool name because I like a lot of the characters, and obviously, boom, evolve Itachi right away, of course, into a Kadabra. That probably took a little bit of work, but there was actually, even though I'm not the biggest Naruto fan, there's a lot of characters I like. Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Shikamaru. I like my guy. I like Hashirama. I like the third Hokage. I like all the Hokages. And we immediately showcase that we evolve him immediately after transforming into a Kadabra. There's no reason why to wait. Transform it into an Alakazam. There's nothing in the rules stating that you cannot do that. You don't have to wait till level 32, level 36, whatever feels fair. Nope. We're going to utilize this, and boom, in we go up against. And obviously, I have a problem with the, as you guys can sort of tell, there's a slight problem here with the frame size of the game. I was recording in different windows, obviously, because the windows keep changing, you know what I mean? As you guys can see, Itachi's slightly cut off there, like the end parts of the stuff. So there's nothing I can do about that while live going through the editing and stuff like that. I think I will have to fix this later by the looks of it, yeah. I don't remember having this problem with green, so did I not have a set? I don't know what I was doing. I can't, you know. You guys can still see what's going on, so it's fine. It's not like the end of my Nuzlocke or whatever, where I cut off like a whole section by mistake. But yeah, so we're using Itachi here to do a lot of damage, level 20, we like it. Going to Kenpachi here, we like it. Up against Staryu and Starmie, Misty, you ain't got nothing, you ain't got nothing. So of course, we only have Tackle. It's really going to be able to do anything, and that was a critical hit, so unfortunately not a crazy amount. So we're going to go for the tail whipping. We're going to try to lower this guy's defense a little bit there while still taking the tackle. We miss our next tackle, which sucks because now Starmie gets another tackle on us. And we're going to need at least 2 tackles to take this thing out, and we're getting really down to the wire here. Oof, I really don't like that. So we're going to have to switch. We switch into Shunsui here. Who still, I believe, doesn't have an electric type move, so it's not like super dangerous. Just has a powerful quick attack, which can end the time once again. Using Shunsui at this point doesn't bother me. And Kenpachi grew to level 21, so we defeated Misty. We got ourselves, and I know this is really quick, there's a lot to discuss, so we got ourselves an Abra named Itachi, a very appropriately named, I think, an Alakazam named Itachi, really, really cool. Now we catch ourselves an Oddish named Tsunade, getting all the heavy hitters here, and Ekans named, let me guess. I think I straight up ignored the wheel and just called this thing Orochimaru because that one's too much on the nose, in my opinion. I probably ignored the wheel for that one. Yeah. Come to think of it, I probably didn't spin the wheel. I said, alright, if we're using an Arbok, if for whatever reason things go south and I end up using an Arbok in Gen 1, that thing better be named Orochimaru. I probably 100% sort of put my hand on the scale for that one. Yeah, 100% there. Okay, so definitely Orochimaru was, yeah, that was 100% me. So yeah, so now we're back into this one, up against our rival once again. And just let me see really quick, if I do a quick pause and a change, see if I can fix that window, because you know, we might have done a lot of gameplay all at once. So just give me 1 second as we dominate our rival here. Alright, that looks a little bit better, doesn't it? That looks a little bit better. Now just watch. The next frame will immediately be where there's big black bars on the side, which is what I was trying to avoid by making a nice edited video in the first place. But it is what it is. So yeah, Kenpachi's pretty much dominating. We're kind of over-leveled at this point going through, but once again, I don't have level caps or anything like that. Obviously, over-leveling would be a little bit of a bitch move, but this is just natural level progression when you only have a team of really 3, you know, that you're trying to raise up. Obviously, they're going to get a little bit stronger. It is what it is, you know. Because by the time you get to, sometimes by the time you get to, like, Koga Sabrina, a lot of the time, depending, especially with Nuzlocke, you can be heavily underleveled by, like, I'm talking, like, 8-10 levels. Quite easily, you know, because obviously depending on who you're raising and depending on their growth rates and stuff like that, yeah, it just depends, you know, on how many trainer battles you do, and even if you do all the trainer battles and stuff. So we defeat our rival, and now we're up against Lieutenant Surge. Let's go. All right, Lieutenant Surge, bring it on. So far, everything's looking a little bit better there. So maybe, once again, I said the windows that I was recording in obviously had slight different parameters and stuff like that. Hopefully I can keep it more consistent. I don't remember green being that bad, so maybe I screwed up when recording red a few times there in the earlier parts. But anyways, it's fixed for right now. But Itachi, level 26, is just going to dominate with Confusion alone. Dominate there. And even this Raichu is level 24. So are we really that over-leveled? We're 2 levels higher than the gym's ace. But of course a Thunderbolt is doing still significant damage to an Alakazam. That's pretty crazy. Uses an X speed, basically big waste of time. because he is now officially faster. Gets a crit with the Thunder Shock, though. If that was a Thunderbolt, it might be a little bit more dangerous. But Itachi sweeps Lieutenant Surge, and we got a third gym badge. There we go. Doing this. This is going pretty fire. And then boom, we catch ourselves a Diglett. Diglett named Gara. Alright. I think a Sandshrew would have been a better name for Gara, but that's a nice one. Spearow is named Shikimaru. Okay, we get a Spearow named Shikimaru. That's cool. And now a Voltorb named Sasuke. We get a Voltorb named Sasuke. I don't know what that one... Chidori, maybe? You know? Once again, these are spun on a wheel other than Orochimaru. I guarantee you I did that one. I actually remember doing that one. I said, nope. If I have to use an Arbok, fucking named Orochimaru. So, yeah. So I did break my wheel rule for the Orochimaru grab. I will admit that one. But all the other ones, yeah. So Gara, Shikamaru, Sasuke, you know, obviously popular ones. Now we're into our rival battle after going through Rock Tunnel. Obviously, we're fully eligible to basically use everybody at this point, because, you know, we're close. They're all close enough in level. Since we literally just grew to level 29 to start, it's time for him to sweep. It's time for him to sweep these guys. Now, this Gyarados, level 23, has Hydro Pump. So I don't give a shit about using level 30s at this point. That thing has Hydro Pump. I'm allowed to use an Aerodactyl. That's all I'm saying. Then it would jump into the Growlithe, but we have Thunderbolt from Surge, so we're just gonna start dominating. Yeah, we're just sweeping here. I don't even think that crit mattered. We're a Shunsui, man. Now this is one where it might, but we're 9 levels higher, so I'm gonna say that no, Cadaver's special isn't good enough. I don't think that crit mattered. Just don't think it was good enough. Now Ivysaur versus Shunsui. Fuck it, Thunderbolt. I don't care that it's weak. We took a Growl, so that's not going to affect our affect our special. Now that crit did matter, and we end up completely sweeping and gaining 2 levels in one rival battle for Shunsui, straight up to level 30. Let's go, Shunsui, captain of the 8th division, and as we know, future captain commander of the Gotei 13. Those 13 Court Guard squads, let's go. So we defeat our rival. Then boom, we're straight on into Erica here. Let's go. It's Erica time. But at this point, we have ourselves Genryusai. And we're eligible to use Ichibei at this point because level 30 and stuff like that. I imagine we already grabbed Fly, even if not, we have Wing Attack, so we should be all good. Genryusai, once again, we only have Ember still. Can't use a Firestone yet, for obvious reasons, if we want an actual decent moveset. We get the Burn. This is good. Now, Wrap, of course, is only dangerous if we get paralyzed, because we outspeed. So, Wrap, while annoying, will not bother us, and that Burn is going to do all the work, even if it had a problem. So, Genryusai at level 30, starting us off strong up against Erica. And obviously we did this before the Giovanni fight and stuff like that because, as you guys could tell, we were kind of getting a little bit higher leveled by the time we hit that Lavender Tower fight with the rivals. So by the time we got into this fight, we were like, okay, let's do the gym first so we're not overpowering Erica too bad because we're roughly the same level. We're in the 30s now. Just started to hit the 30s, so it's time for us to... really do this. So, of course, the Wrap is working. Burn is working. We just need that one more Ember to call it a day. Boom. Down goes the Victory Bell to Genryusai. Grows to level 31. Let's go. We just need to get that Flamethrower first before we evolve. Tangela, of course, is only level 24. So this will be a 2-hit. Once again, it's not times 4, so it's fine. But that Constrict. So we might not even need Ichibei. Depends on how strong that Vileplume depends on what he does. If he goes for the Sleep Powder, depends. So the Vileplume is level 29, so we're right in that range. Petal Dance, of course, should do... it's not bad, but I think 2 Embers... Oh, well, obviously 2 Embers would have been the wrong answer, because that critical hit definitely mattered. Get another Ember in there, thrashing about. Very, very close. Scary, but obviously we're going to hit first. And boom, one more Ember takes out. So Genryusai, the fire type, does sweep Erica's Grass Gym. Not really super surprised, but the fact that we had to do it with just Ember. Flame Wheel didn't exist yet. No Fire Punch, no medium level. We don't have Flamethrower. And we're first stage. We're not even a Ninetales, so we don't even get the boosts. I'm really glad that we didn't have to switch. Now, with Kenpachi at level 32, we're just going to sit in here and dominate Giovanni. And of course, we don't need to showcase all the boss battles in this regard. Like the gym leader battles, sure. We don't need to showcase these ones against the team leader every time, but I just do. I show the significant battles in that regard, in the same way that I showcase all the rival battles. Just is what it is, you know? Okay, so the Kangaskhat obviously can take a little bit more where it's not ×4 weakness to our Bubble Beam. And that Comet Punch, especially with the crit. Damn, man. With 4-time hits, it does over half. It's kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. But we do grow to level 33. That's awesome. And now we jump into, after defeating Giovanni, we, I assume, jump into catching ourselves a Ghastly, who is named Madara. Alright, good name for a Ghastly. Good name for a Ghastly indeed. And now Genryusai is evolving. So obviously we gave Genryusai a Firestone at this point. Evolved it into a Ninetales. And we're going to catch ourselves an Execute that is named Naruto. Alright. Named Naruto. Okay. Also, by the looks of this, we catch ourselves a Nidorino named Hashirama. Great name for a Nidorino. Great freaking name for a future Nidoking. And a Rhyhorn as well, because of course the 4 stages of the Safari Zone all count as individual stages. Can't believe we get ourselves a Rhyhorn, my god, named Killer Bee. Killer Bee the Rhyhorn. I mean, doesn't really suit, but it is what it is. So there's so we caught a lot of Pokemon there. One thing we obviously missed in the editing is in between the right before the Ghastly, there was a catch of a Machop that we named Might Guy. So we caught ourselves a Machop named Might Guy. So that one is going to be included, as far as I can tell. I don't see a reason. I'm looking through my notes here. I don't see why we missed the Machop capture. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing a reason why. And now up against our rival battle, you guys might notice we also missed, or we didn't miss, we just skipped the evolution. Our Kenpachi became a Blastoise in between, obviously, the Erica fight and this rival fight. So he was level 33 up against Giovanni. By the time we went and did Silphco, got to level 36. Looking at the levels right now of Shunsui and stuff, so it just grew to level 39. Obviously, Kenpachi has grown to level 36 and became a Blastoise. So we missed out on that one, but obviously it'll be fine down here in this strip, right? So all good there. All good. Now we're beating up on, of course, the Alakazam, which can be quite dangerous, but we have no issues there. Throws in the level 40 Venusaur against our level 39 Shunsui. And this is what I'm talking about. This is just straight going through with the same team, battling all the trainers, not doing any real grinding anywhere, just battling all the random battles through Rock Tunnel, etc. Stuff like that. But battling all the trainers, battling all wild encounters, and right now we're actually under-leveled against our rival. This is what I'm saying. So even though you're overpowered by between the second and third gym, you become a little bit underpowered by the time you reach Sabrina. That's all I'm saying. Or you can. I'm not saying you can't be. A little bit of extra grinding here and there. A couple of levels make a little bit of difference. But overall here, even with Genryusai, only being level 36. So there we go. Ember. And boom, there we go. So I'm curious there. We evolved Genryusai. From Vulpix to Ninetales. And did I miss something there? Anyways. Alright. So, our rival leaves. Obviously, our second battle up against Giovanni incoming. So here we go. Narino. Up against Kenpachi, as I already said. We missed the footage. Either I didn't hit record or I missed it during editing. I'm pretty sure I didn't not hit record because what I normally do to play these games is I just hit the record button and I just play. Whether I walk away, you know, for 20 minutes to like thaw something, cook something or whatever like that, I just leave the recording running and then I deal with the editing later, you know. So if I'm playing the game for 3-4 hours, I'm recording 3-4 hours, and I just go through and find the highlights pretty much. And yeah, it's not as tedious as you might think. It's definitely more difficult to like stop and start recording as you go. Saves a lot on computer space, but the idea is, once again, like I was talking about the GenLocks being a lot different, is that as long as you're doing a leg, editing a leg, getting the leg out, deleting that, and then starting the new leg, you know, you're rotating the amount of gigs on your hard drive and shit like that. Or if you have terabytes worth of... I mean, I have terabytes worth of space, but even me, with all the content that I make on YouTube, it's still gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes of stuff, you know what I mean? So it eventually does take up space, so... yeah. But yeah, as you guys can tell, like here's even Giovanni with a level 41. Our starter's only level 38. So we are somewhat under-leveled by the time we reach here, just from normal gameplay. Battling every trainer you come across and defeating every random Pokemon without any grinding. This is roughly where you'll likely be at. You know? And it's well within range, though. Like 41 to 39 is not that big a gap. So it's within range, but now instead of being 3-4 levels over the rival and the gym, we're now 1-2 levels under, right? And for some reason, we're battling Sabrina first instead of Koga. That's a little interesting. So now there is the potential here. There is the potential that we only did one route to Fuchsia and didn't do the second route to Fuchsia yet. So we're doing all the Saffron stuff, and then we'll be going down to Fuchsia in the second way, and we haven't battled all the trainers from Celadon through to Fuchsia back up to Vermilion. Obviously very possible there. But here we start off with Kenpachi up against Kadabra. Sabrina. And once again, once you start a gym, you cannot leave. So no matter what damage we took, we have to start off with and have our best available. And obviously you're allowed to use any potions, anything you find, but you're not allowed to use a PokeMart. So, and look at that little sliver of health. And now Kenpachi is basically, we either got to heal or we got to run away. And we only defeated one. And of course that crit came in at the wrong time. Now we got a Mr. Mime to deal with. Ooh, Genryusai took quite a heavy hit by the looks of it too. Am I crazy? I brought out Kurosaki against a Psychic. Oh, I see what I'm doing. They're setting up the light screens, not the reflects, and I'm going for the fact that they lack physical defense. I went straight for the strength to do a 2-hit combo. Now Venomoth has Psychic. Ooh, I'm still going to go for the strength, hoping. Oh, and a crit even. Oh no, only has Psybeam. Got 100 health. My special's not great, but oh! We are able to kill the Venomoth and the Mr. Mime with a Hitmonlee in Sabrina's gym. Now, if I attack now, first off, I wouldn't go first, and I'd be sacrificing. So, boom, we have to jump into Shunsui against a... Oh, went for the Reflect because of the Hitmonlee, likely. This is good. If we Thunder Wave this thing, we'll go first. There we go. Get that Thunder Wave up against level 43, which is stronger than all our Pokemon. Goes for the Recover, which is fantastic. So we got a free Paralysis. We're into the Thunderbolt game. We've done almost half to this Alakazam. This is great. That Psywave basically did nothing. We're really lucky against the Sabrina team. The Sabrina team and a crit. That Sabrina fight couldn't have gone better in our favor if I tried. You know that luck's going to come around at some point. But not in Pokemon Red it ain't, because damn, the luck was on our side there. And boom, now we officially, so we beat Sabrina, so we're doing this a little out of order. We beat Sabrina, now we're going back to the 5th gym to defeat Koga here. Okay. Looking at the namesakes here, just making sure I'm not missing anything. Now we have a Coughing against our level 37. So once again, we haven't really changed much here. We're still relative to the levels. Like we haven't. So I think we really did. I think we went through and we battled all the trainers, but this is just where you end up at, right? So we are still technically under-leveled for Sabrina, Giovanni, our rival, and Koga at this point. I don't know who we spent all our friggin' experience on, but obviously someone was eating it up. Probably Aerodactyl or somebody like that. Probably somebody takes quite a bit. So we're going to get rid of Disable for Psychic, which is a big thing. Tachi gains that. Coughing, level 37. We're level 38. Like, once again, nobody's hit 40 by the looks of it at this point. We beat all the level 40s in Sabrina. And now Koga's got a Weezing that's level 43. There you go. Just because we have an Alakazam and a Tachi, which, once again, great name. Itachi's probably going to say one of my favorite. Like most people, Itachi is one of my top 5 characters in Naruto, I would say. Now we're level 44. And we're going to catch ourselves a Tangela named Sakura. Sakura the Tangela. Okay. So we got a Tangela. So we go straight on from beating Koga to obviously leveling up like crazy. 4 or 5 levels till we got the Tangela. And now we're straight up into Blaine. Let's see what our levels are now. Kenpachi is now level 45. Okay, so since going through the Seafoam Islands, going down from Palatown, doing the Pokemon Mansion and stuff, we've gained ourselves 6 levels since then. That makes a lot of sense, really. You know, we get quite a bit of experience just going around the Pokemon Mansion collecting the items. And obviously we want all those items. We want the calciums, we want the full restores. You know, there's a lot there to find and stuff like that. And obviously we do Blaine at the very end. We basically, every time I've done a playthrough, I've completed everything else. Safari Zone, all the routes, all the trainers. There's nothing left to do by the time I beat Blaine. So I go from Blaine to Giovanni right away. I never have more to do or more to go grab or more to find. I beat Blaine, and then I beat Giovanni. I do them back to back every time. So yeah, we are dominating. But even so, at level 45, technically under-leveled, and I don't know what our special is, but this Arcanine just survived a Surf from a Blastoise. Only 2 levels lower. That Arcanine's awesome, or our Blastoise is quite weak. Could, but once again, I randomized the IVs every time. It's never going to be... Yeah, that special was only 100, wasn't it? That seems a little off. That seems a little weak for a level 46 Blastoise to just hit triple digits in the special. You know, at almost level 50. I would expect that to be like 125, 130. So, Unless I'm wrong about the stats back in Gen 1. Maybe that is normal for Blastoise. Blastoise might not be a special attacker back then. Anyways, at this point, we're now level 48. We've grown a couple of levels, battling all the trainers. Now we're up against Giovanni. Ow. My back, my kingdom for a back, as they say. Now a Dugtrio. Yeah, we're just going to dominate here, because now we're the right level. Now his ace is actually level 50. So we're actually still somewhat under-leveled, but most of our guys are higher. So there we go. We beat up on a Nidoqueen. We're just going to sweep, just like Kenpachi is going to sweep Blaine, and then followed up sweep Giovanni. Bam. Giovanni would be far more dangerous, I feel, as a mid-game like Erica Surge position as a ground type specialist. Because you imagine dealing with not so much like the Rhyhorns and the Onyxes and things like that, but you imagine him bringing up the Kangaskhat, the Persian, and then a Nidorino, a Nidoqueen, and a Rhyhorn. See, the diversity there, which still suits his character, would be a lot heavier hitting, you know, at the 4th gym level. I feel like it'd be a lot more difficult. By gym 8, you have the right counters. But Giovanni's team is not weak. It's just, by that point, you have the best tools. And now we face off against our rival for, of course, the second to last time here. Which, goddamn, we go for it. We're evenly matched at level 47. That thing critical hit Arch, shouldn't we? Like, god damn. Jumps right into the Rhyhorn, so we gotta switch. Switch into the Kenpachi to surf this thing to death. Level 49. Our levels are looking pretty solid, you know. They're just about or as strong as Giovanni and fucking our rivals team here. It's not too shabby, not too bad. Sorry guys, I know I'm like shifting like really weird, but I gotta go slow so I don't like re-injure my back. I just do it slow so I don't go like, oh, I zigged when I should have zagged. Shit, you know. And up against the Gyarados, we're staying in. Okay, we're just gonna Ice Beam this thing. Oh, I know why, because we can take Dragon Rage. But if this thing Hydro Pumps our Shunsui, and an Ice Beam is neutral, even though our special stat isn't the best, neither is Gyarados. So it worked out. 3 Ice Beams and they're down. Then jumps into the Growlithe, so we get an easy kill here. All that should be left is the Alakazam and the Venusaur. With 100 health, we should be able to hit him with something. Just hit him with a Surf. Okay, we're going to switch. Oh, of course. Even though a little lower, Alakazam versus Alakazam. Because special versus special stat. And we're both not very effective. Not going to do a whole lot. So we're just both going to go at it. We're going to chip away at each other. But I got a crit. That luck is just working to my favor. Okay, Psychic. 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 Will he heal up in this rival battle, I wonder? Does he ever heal up? Going for the Psy Beam. Won't that potentially cause confusion? Yep. Yep, it does. Okay, so we're going to switch then. At that range, a physical attack should be able to do it. But I don't think I have Hyper Beam by level 47. Oof. I do have Fly, though. Stab Fly if it hits. Yeah, there you go. Boom. Boom, baby. Now, Rock Flying, I shouldn't have to worry about Venusaur. Should be able to Wing Attack or Fly it. But I switch out to Genryusai because full HP Genryusai against a level 53 Venusaur is probably the smarter choice. And that Razor Leaf can crit, of course. Which it did. So probably for the best. Now Flamethrower his ass. The crit, I believe, where Venusaur is so bulky, I believe that crit did matter. Even though Genryusai is a strong fire type, I just, stat-wise, I think the crit did matter. But for a full kill, obviously it would have done over half no matter what. But yeah, there we go. And boom, now we're straight up into the Elite Four. So we defeat our rival and now we're into the Elite Four. Let's go, baby. Let's see, our final team. 5 Bleach characters and 1 Naruto character. Let's see how we make this happen. Obviously, another sweep would mean we have 3 points in the bank for Pokemon Blue. So obviously we start off. Shunsui is always going to be dominating Lorelei. The electric types always do. The Jinx is always the issue, and if you don't hit a high level Thunder, you're never going to kill the Lapras in one hit. But generally speaking, you can get rid of the Dewgong, the Cloyster, and the Slowbro with a strong electric type one-hit KOs every time. It's always the Jinx that's the issue. So yeah, Thunderbolt, yep, there you go. Roughly the same level, mid-50s, Jolteon, Raichu, Electabuzz, any of them should be able to do it. Now against the Jinx, we go for the special Pin Missile. He's super effective. 3 hits, 4 hits, 5 hits. Not enough to kill, but look at that damage that made it happen, got her down that far, and one more Thunderbolt should take her out. She used a Super Potion, it matters, so now we're all down to Lapras. That couldn't have worked out any better, but the 5 hit on the Pin Missile easily could have been a 2. And yes, as I just said, the critical hit mattered there. You cannot kill a Lapras with a Thunderbolt from a Jolteon at that level. You just can't do it. So no matter how high, our special is 173. And I'm telling you, that Lapras is so fucking bulky that you cannot kill that thing without a... You'll get 3/4 of the HP, but you'll never one-shot it. Not at that level anyways. You need to be like... I think the special needs to be like 198 at least. I'm not sure on those numbers, but yeah. Anyway, Lorelei's Lapras is normally... But that was the best sweep of Lorelei I have seen in... That I've personally done in forever. Like, that was a perfect sweep. We took no damage whatsoever. And now we go up against Bruno. Time to jump kick his Onix. With Kurosaki. We get slammed. We took a little bit of damage, big deal. Boom, slam him. This is where Kurosaki's going to excel, is up against these fighting types, because they can't do much to us, but we can do plenty to them. Same amount, it's hit for hit, but our strength is a better hitting move against the fighting types than any of their moves will be against us. All his fire punch, his ice punch, none of that's going to do anything. Honestly, that ice punch did more than I thought, but I suppose if I have a low special, he's got a low special, it's, you know. Okay, so we're going to switch finally to Ichibei, the specialist against beating these guys. A high jump kick to a rock flying. Now that shouldn't do a whole lot, but it will be neutral. Holy shit. See, it shouldn't be super effective. I hope that didn't actually do super effective damage, because that'd be bullshit. Because the flying type should negate the fighting. And we get the fly, but yeah, I don't like the fact that that's super effective. Though Gen 1 made those mistakes all the time, just because it has a sound effect and says it's super effective doesn't mean it's actually doing super effective damage. And we're going for the Fire Blast up against an Onix, really? Well, to be fair, it's doing quite a bit. Okay, the crit didn't matter there because those Fire Blasts, 2-hit Fire Blasts, okay. Now up against a Machamp at 99 HP. We go for the Focus Energy. We hit that fly. That fly is going to do a lot. Yeah, and so it does. He goes for another Focus Energy. Hyper Beam him. We'd win with a Hyper Beam. Goes for the Bite. Why did we go for the... We got lucky with that one. We shouldn't have went for the Bite. Should have went for the Hyper Beam. Would have called it a day. But we do win with Ichibei. As I said, that fighting move should have only been neutral damage, but it probably only did neutral damage. That's just how deadly the damage was. Alright, so now up against Agatha. Of course, we have the best counter you can possibly ask for, Alakazam. Outside of Mewtwo, obviously. But Alakazam. Psychic type, using both Psybeam and Psychic. This is going to be just devastating. You know, last time I believe we used Golem. I believe our Earthquaking team was on point. But we have a level 55 Itachi. Itachi's going to sweep. Itachi's going to wreck. Yeah, there we go. That crit didn't matter. Can almost guarantee that. comes the Golbat. And boom. I laugh that we're getting the crits when the crits are, as I said, irrelevant, pretty much. Up against the Haunter. Well, if we kill the Gengar in one hit, what's a Haunter going to do? And boom, we get rid of an Arbok. And finally, the Gengar. Let's get rid of a Gengar. Level 60. See, this is why I said the crits didn't matter, because we killed the 56 level Gengar with one Psychic without the crit. We killed the 60, or sorry, we killed the 60 without a crit. 56 had a crit, but the crit didn't matter. We sweep Agatha, no problem when you have Itachi. So now, it's up against Lance. We have 2 battles left to go here. One, of course, up against Lance. And the final one against our rival. So now we are going to heal up. We really want to make sure that we get the... I'm going to use up... Yeah, we're going to use our potions. Once again, see, we save everything. We only use potions and stuff if we absolutely need to. We got this. We got this. Obviously, start off with Shunsui when you got him. Start off with your electric types. And once again, I'm quite versed in Gen 1 games, not just like the both the original and the remakes and stuff like that. I'm quite versed in how they operate. I'm quite versed in the first 3 gens, to be honest with you. It's when you get past that, it's when you get into Gen 4 that... Not that I'm unfamiliar with Gen 4 at all, it's just that there's a lot of... Oh, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's more limitations, obviously, up until Gen 3. Gen 4 added a lot of different dynamics, especially that special physical split sometimes still catches me off guard to this day. To this day, I still get caught off by the amount of damage certain moves do. Now, so we immediately kill, of course, the Gyarados. We go for it against the Dragonair, get hit by a Hyper Beam right away, but we're going to take this opportunity to switch into our Ice Beaming Kenpachi at full HP, because now he has to recharge. We did significant damage. This Ice Beam, even at the special level we're at, should kill the Dragonair, yeah. But the fact that Kenpachi's special, as we saw previously, is so low, he couldn't even surf an Arcanine, I'm going to say these guys are going to survive it. And no, not the Dragonair anyway. I'm actually surprised. Now the Aerodactyl comes in. This is where we can surf for stab. Goes for the Supersonic and failed. We're 3 levels lower, obviously. And all he's got left after this is a Dragonite, which we're ×4. Now that makes sense, because that would be a ×2 stab. Now this will be a ×4 not stab. 5 levels lower, but ×4 is a lot. And it's not quite to defeat the Dragon Knight. So, and he doesn't heal up. He goes for the agility, then the slam. Doesn't even go for a Hyper Beam, and we win. So all we got to do is heal up our Jolteon, and then we go straight into that rival battle. I'm actually very surprised by that. I'll be honest with you, I'm very surprised. I would have thought that that's... You know, I would have done things differently. But that's just me. Alrighty. Like, if I were Lance, is what I mean. If I were the AI, I would have done things a little bit differently. Okay, so, yeah. Hyper Potion up. Shunsui. The other guys, they don't need anything. Just make sure that they're ethered up. Yeah. Yeah. Psychic. Okay, boom. Straight into the rival. Pokemon Red. Once again, I want to apologize for the lack of animation sounds. Game audio, I should say, because obviously I'm going to try to add as much of the OG music tracks for the game post-edit here as best I can. And so there'll be a little bit of sound. There'll at least be the battle music and stuff like that. I'm going to try my best. It'll be a little bit sloppy, not going to lie. But yeah, none of the sound effects are going to be there, because that would take me for fucking ever. So, but yeah, apologies for that. I'll make sure when we start our next run, because I'm pretty confident at this point we're not about to go 0-6 here. So, yeah. When we start blue, we'll be sure to make sure that the audio's up to snuff. So we immediately kill the Pidgeot, right? Then we go for the Thunder Wave. Then we think we can do the same thing that we did up against the Jinx with the Pin Missile, but when they only get the 2. And now we're down to 26 HP with Shunsui. Scary as fuck. So we switch over into Itachi, but this is a paralyzed Alakazam, who goes for Recover. Difference is we have Toxic, which is why I jumped into him. But while he's paralyzed, that was actually the worst mistake I could have made, because now I can't poison him and just play the game of longevity. Now I've got to go all in with the Psychics. He goes for the Reflect, he gained armor. The fully paralyzed, it does help and stuff, but he's going to just full restore eventually. But of course he's got Recover, so he's not going to full restore, he's going to Recover. So we're going to have to just keep bashing the Psychic, we're going to have to spam Psychic. You know, it just... And we get the critical hit, which is really nice. And he's fully paralyzed. So this might be enough to kill, I don't think we're quite in range. No, we're not in range. Then he gets the full restore, so now we have to Toxic him. Like, this is my opportunity. We've taken no damage, Toxic his ass, we wasted some health with Shunsui to get here, but it is what it is. Now he's fully poisoned. Now we shouldn't have an issue. Now we just go for the Psy Beams at this point, because we can confuse him while he's poisoned, and we're not going to take any damage. So he's going to go for things like Reflect, Recover, etc., which he just did. He went for it again. He's done no damage to us so far. He finally goes for a Psychic at half health. To be fair, he gets a critical. So we go for a Recover because of the critical, knowing that the poison damage is going to do its thing. So he goes for another Recover, now that he's below half. He gets it, but of course that poison just keeps stacking. See? Ooh, that poison is stacking good. So now we're not going to Psybeam, we're going to Psychic. We're going to do quite a bit there. He's going to Psybeam. The poison is not going to be enough at this point to kill, but it's close. Unless he goes for another full restore, and he doesn't. Boom, one Psybeam takes him out. So we played the Alakazam a little bit strange at the beginning, but we stayed confident going through that, and worked out our toxic strategy. So now we're jumping into the Rhydon here. Gotta go Kenpachi. Now the Horn Drill, of course, could have worked, and that would have been devastating. Horn Drill is scary when you deal with, once again, we're not all in the 60s. So that Rhydon easily could have hit that Horn Drill, and if he had hit that Horn Drill, Kenpachi would have been gone. So there was that possibility actually existed, because that's how Gen 1 Fissure, Guillotine, and all those moves worked, right? And we freeze the Gyarados. That's hilarious. We freeze the fucking Gyarados. So now we have free reign to just hit him with whatever. We don't need to worry about anything else. We don't need to waste our Ice Beams. We don't need to do anything. We can just hit him with Bubble Beams until he's gone, just in case we need the PP for other things. Boom. No big deal, because they never thaw, right? But yeah, so as I said, the one-hit KO moves only worked when you were stronger than the opponent, and Rhydon was stronger than us. So it still had a percentage chance. I forget the entire calculation on how they work, but there still was a slight chance it could work. In comes the Arcanine, which of course, Surf baby. Level 60. Alright, let's do this matchup again. 5 levels lower. And yeah, no, that Arcanine is crazy and our Kenpachi is weak. Kenpachi is an attacker, not a specialer. That's just how it is. I'd expect no less from captain of the 11th Division. The 11th of his name, Kenpachi Zaraki. And now Venusaur at level 65 up against 13 levels lower. 13 levels Genryusai. Nice to see you, Genryusai. Thing is, he's got Mega Drain and stuff, but he can't do much to us. And look at that flamethrower. Look at that special. That's what special attack damage can do. 13 levels lower, and we're still doing over half. 2 hits with flamethrower. I'm saying. Kenpachi was an attacker, not a specialer. Genryusai is all about that special. And we defeat our rival. Yeah. We defeat our rival. There we go. So as I said, it was pretty obvious we were going to get through this one. But also, we managed to sweep. So that is 2 more points in the bank for us. We have 3 points eligible to spend going into Pokemon Blue, because there is no limit on how many points you can spend going into, as long as you have them in the bank. You can spend all of them. We can save them all up. You can have, 10 points saved up and save them all and spend them like crazy on as many Pokemon, or, however you like. The only caveat is, once again, once per generation, you can take away a disqualified Pokemon. Now we have to add, of course, a lot of disqualified Pokemon into it, being Squirtle, Pidgey, Abra. Oh, not Abra, sorry. Squirtle, Pidgey, Oddish, Ekans, Diglett, Spearow, Voltorb, Matchup, Ghastly, Execute, Nidorino, Rhyhorn, and Tangela. It's quite a few. They are now all officially disqualified from being captured and or used. The Squirtle loss is big, because it means that if we lose Kenpachi, we can't, even if our starter is a Squirtle, not eligible to use it. Got to grab it and box it. Or, release it. But here's our Hall of Fame, of course. Of all our guys. The only real new addition, of course, being Itachi from last time. But what an addition. Probably the, outside of legendaries, the strongest Gen 1 Pokemon, pretty much. Pretty broken is the Alakazam, but catching an Abra in a Nuzlocke, you use that shit. I'm sorry. You go for it. Because there's other Pokemon I would have used here. I might have used a second Blastoise. Not 100% on that. But I would have used that. I would have used I would have used a Gengar. I would have used a Machamp once again, there's a lot of Pokemon here that based on, I would have used an Electrode, but we have Shunsui. I would have used a Machamp, but we have Kurosaki. An Executor wouldn't have been bad. A Nidoking and a Rhydon, 100% would have used either one of them. Had we needed to fill a slot, likely would have went to the Nidoking, 100%. And then Rhydon would have been another good option and stuff like that. So there were some options here, but now, of course, unfortunately, we've X'd out a lot of first stage Pokemon too. The first stage Pokemon, that's a big thing. Because it means that, you got to catch a Haunter if you want a Gengar. You got to catch a Gloom if you want a Vileplume. We basically can't get Pidgeot anymore, because both now Pidgey and Pidgeotto are X'd. Yeah, a lot, quite a few. This is the danger of the disqualification rule, and it's supposed to make the game a lot harder. It only seems like a regular Nuzlocke. It only seems easier now because we've basically kept our former team and kept them alive. We've been very fortunate to build up a great team in green version and then survive the Elite Four and then bring them over into red. And with the exception of losing Chad, we replaced that with Itachi, which, as much as I love Golem, let's be real, Alakazam is the better Pokemon. So all we did was improve the team. So that is what it is. And there we go. End credits. And so that's the end of the Pokemon Red Naruto edition for our GameLocke. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And yeah, as I already said, we have quite a few disqualifications to add down to our Kanto decks, and it's really going to limit us, remember, going forward, because even if it doesn't affect us for the next, in Gen 3 and into Gen 4 and stuff, as we go into Pokemon Pokedexes that include quite a few, assuming we get that far, a lot of the Pokemon won't be eligible the moment we start because we've already disqualified them way back when, right? So anything that's, whenever you have the blended Pokedexes that start, I believe, in Gen 4, like Gen 2 obviously had a blended Pokedex, not so much in Gen 3, but when we start Fire Red, Leaf Green, very few options are going to be left by the time if we complete Yellow and Blue. And then even further into the blended Pokedex of Diamond and Pearl, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, any further, like, things become very, very difficult going forward. So hopefully this becomes a factor. I'm sort of hoping for it to be a really challenging factor, this disqualification thing, because it's a new thing and I haven't seen anybody do anything like it. So hopefully it does become a really challenging, put your thinking cap on for some team building factor for a Nuzlocke, But anyways, that's it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this leg of the run. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I apologize once again for the really bad audio and having to fix it. I promise you, when I start Blue, I will make sure that all that audio is working. I promise you that. I will not record without double checking and triple checking that audio this time. So, but thanks guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you back here for Pokemon Blue, the GameLocke Challenge. Looking forward to it. You guys are too. See you back here next time.